Howdy, welcome back for more Space Engineers. I hope you enjoyed that little video at the beginning. That was that drone right there. That's the Cobalt drone. It went and it did its own little thing, going out and picking up resources at the Cobalt mine. Today, we're going to set up the Magnesium drone right there behind me. Now, let's go ahead and we'll go ahead and turn this back to the main bar, and we'll show you how that's done. So, if you wouldn't mind going down hitting that like and subscribe button while I'm setting up the GPSs here and getting everything ready. Looks like we're good to go. Alright, now, let's go ahead and get started. Now, the drones, when we're setting them up, we got to think of a couple of things. Which remote control is going to be following these coordinates we're setting, and for which purpose? So if we're coming back into the dock where we're at now, we're actually going to be using remote 2 to come back in, and you can see remote 2 down there on the bar. We're going to go ahead and hit that, and we're going to control that. Now we're going to set all our GPS points for starting off using that remote. And right here is going to be the actual docking place for that particular last run. And we're just going to paste here because we're going to use the same format as the previous GPS locations. And this is just Mine Park. Okay, now we're going to unpark, and we're going to try and go up somewhere between 5 and 6 meters. Or until we're too close to the light. That looks good. And we're going to call that approach. So, Mag Park approach. Then we're going to come out towards the middle of our bay here. Yeah, it looks about right. 25 meters, 27.5 meters, sorry. No, 27.2. I'm reading that wrong. And we're going to call this pre-approach. Alright, and that's going to allow us to come in, get lined up, and then back into the approach, and then lower ourselves down onto the dock. Now we're going to fly out to the Magnesium mine, and we're going to set the points out there. It's just a straight shot. There's nothing in the way, so I'll be right back as soon as we get there. Alright, so we're docked up to the Magnesium mine, and so now you can see we're back in the cockpit. We're no longer in a remote. But we're going to dock up to this one using the first remote. So we're going to switch to remote 1, and we're going to set a new GPS coordinate. We are going to set this one to oh, got that one wrong. No, we got that right. Mine dot park. So that's parking on the mine. Alright. So now we're going to undock. We're going to come up at least 10 meters. Let's make sure this is good. I prefer to go like 15. This is good. And we're going to name that approach. And I don't care if my spelling's wrong. And I think it is. I don't think that's right, but I'm not going to spell check it. Approach. And we're going to come over back away from it by just a good distance so that we make sure we're coming in away from the solar panel. Let's see, we're 55 meters away. That should be more than enough. We'll just name this one pre-approach. Alright, now we've got all of our things set I'm going to fly this back to the base, which is all the way over there, and then we'll get started programming it. Let me get this flown back to the docking area, and we'll dock it up and start doing our programming. All right, we are set up now. Spin our camera around so we can see where we're going. Okay, how far off are we? Not too far. There we go. We are all docked up now. Now let's jump out of here, and we will actually use the Cobalt one to see how we're all set up. So if you come in and you look at the Cobalt one, you'll see we've got all 4 timer blocks here, and we're going to use all 4 of them. We've also got 2 remotes. This is the journey to the mine. This is the journey back. This timer block will start us off. This timer block will dock us at the mine. This timer block will release us from the mine and start our return trip home. This will dock us at home. So the first one is set up for 1 second, 2 seconds for both of the docking sequences, and 30-second wait time to allow for the drone to actually pick up ore. And to allow it to pick up ore, we've got 2 sorter blocks in here that we're also going to trigger, and we're going to set the connector to collect all. So each of the remotes are set to 1 way, and they go first to the controller 1 goes to the approach. There are things it does along the way, so the approach actually comes in, and when it gets to approach, it turns the forward direction to forward on the first remote, because it's going to be set to up for this. Probably best if we just look at the timer block. This one kicks everything off, and it does this. First, it unlocks the connector and turns off the connector. Then it turns on the autopilot on remote 1 and turns the forward direction to up. That means it will lift straight off of the connector. Then we'll come into remote 1, because that's what the timer block is kicking off. We'll come to remote 1 and we'll look at what it does. Remote 1 will lift off until it gets to the approach direction that's just below the light above us, and then it will change its direction to forward. Then it will go to the pre-approach parking location, and then it will take us to the base approach and pre-approach. Those are 2 points I have configured just outside the entryway to make sure we come in the door properly. We are not going to have a mid in this particular one. That's to help you navigate around certain objects. You can program as many mid points as you need. This one we only needed 1. And then it will take us to the mine. It will take us to the mine's pre-approach location. And then it will take us to the approach. And once it gets to the approach, it will set the direction to down so that it will lower us onto the connector at the park location. When it gets to the park location, it will change its forward direction to forward, because we're done with the first remote. We just want it to be set to normal. It'll turn on timer block 2, start it counting, and it will turn the connector on and turn on the 2 conveyor sorters. Timer block 2 will then set the forward direction to forward, just for safety's sake. It will turn on the connector, which should already be on, but just in case. Then it will connect, and then it will turn on both of these sorters, which are set to drain all. It will also turn the connector drain all on, and it will start timer block 3. Then we'll come to timer block 3 here. Timer block 3, after 30 seconds, will turn off collect all, unlock the connector, turn off the connector, turn off both the sorters, change the forward direction to up on controller 2, and then turn on the remote control feature for control 2. Sorry, the autopilot. And control 2 will bring us back. Leaving the mine, it will take us to approach, which will be going up. So this will change the, once it gets to the forward direction. Wait, let's look at that again. It'll set the forward direction to up, yes. And then remote control 2 will lift us straight off of the connector at the mine. And once it gets to this first location, it will change its forward direction to forward. Turn the sorters off, just for safety's sake. We're going to do that again. And toggle the connector off. Just because it's just a safeguard to do it more than once. We aren't going to have a mid. But it does hit the pre-approach. And then it will come to the base pre-approach. And when it gets to the base pre-approach, at the base pre-approach, it's going to set its direction to down. And then it will lower us down to the base approach location. And that is to orient the roll of the drone properly so that we actually come in straight and normal to the gravity of the base. And then it will set the forward direction to forward once it gets there, and it will fly into the base to that center point location right in front of the dock. Once it's there, it will set the direction to backwards. It will back to just above the approach location, just above the dock. It'll change its direction to down and lower us onto the dock. Once it's on the dock, it will change the remote control's direction to forward on both remotes, just for safety's sake. Start timer block 4 to actually trigger docking us to the dock. It will turn the connector on and make sure both of these sorters are off, because we don't want it to try and pull materials out of the base. And remote control 4 toggles on the connector, again just for redundancy. It will lock the connector, make sure both those sorters are off because that is critical. And again, make sure both remotes are set to forward just because, again, that is critical. Alright, now I'm going to get all that set up on the other drone. Now that we're done with all of the boring jibber jabber of explaining it. So I'm going to get that all set up on the magnesium drone. And then we'll go along for the ride as it takes its maiden voyage. Alright. So this is a boring portion. Not going to make you sit through me just clicking and clicking and clicking and setting things up. So we'll be right back. Alright, we're back. And you can see we're all docked up now. So let's go ahead and we'll look in here. And you'll be able to see that timer blocks are all set up. The remote control blocks are all set up and ready to go. In fact, I'll mouse over those slowly so you can use this to look through it and actually get a better look at those. Pause if you need to read it more, because I'm not going to sit here and go through it again, because I don't think y'all want to be bored like that. so that's all set up and ready to go. Now it is time to actually start our maiden voyage. We are going to unlock the connector here, and we're going to come in and we're going to put, for starters, we are going to put right here, autopilot off. And autopilot off. And that will allow us to abandon the trip if something's going wrong. Then we're going to start timer block 1. Now, ideally, we'll never be in this ship when we start timer block 1, except for the case of this voyage. So, let's go ahead and we'll start timer block 1, and we will see this on its maiden flight. Oh, crap. Okay. I think I may have started timer block 2. Well, we still have one thruster. Okay, is timer block... I started autopilot on controller too. Oops. Okay, we are going to drop this one down here. Autopilot on. Okay. Now, we're going to replace those thrusters real quick. Now that we have this actually set up right. Cross your fingers. We're going to try it again. Brought us up. That's good. Oh, so far so good. And this should fly us straight to the magnesium mine. Once it comes out here and hits both of these points out here. Yep, yeah, it's got to hit one more. And then it should go straight for the magnesium mine. If I remember, yes, it is a clear shot, so we don't have to worry about that at least. Alright, and we're approaching it now. You can see we're coming up to the pre-approach. You may hear my kids in the background because they're little jackwagons. I'm using polite language because I'm on YouTube. I raised them to be jerks, but they're fun jerks. Alright, and it should center us facing the... It's a weird way for it to rotate, but okay, we'll take it. Gonna come down, dock up, and connector on, and connected. Alright, now we should see it actually picking... Huh. Must have picked up some stuff back at the base, but oh well. That's not a big deal, is it? I must have forgot to turn the connectors off after I set everything up. That's alright. This means it's not going to pick up as much magnesium. Alright, and now we're going up. The pre-approach. Or to the approach. Now we're going to the pre-approach. And that's just to make sure we stay away from the solar panels. Alright, now it should head us straight back to the base and get us ready to dock. Alright, so I will be back once we get back to the base. Alright, we are heading for the pre-approach here. And it should start to slow down. Please slow down. Please don't hit nothing again. I don't think I screwed up the programming that much, did I? Nope, looks like we're good. It's going to stop at the base pre-approach here. Any minute now. Alright. Yeah, so okay, it stopped at the base pre-approach. It should reorient itself with the base. Drop us down to the entry level. And then fly us in. Level with the rest of the base. Now we are nice and flat. Ish. Mostly. Which means when we come in and center ourselves up, then we're going to back into that spot now. We should be high enough up that it will angle us down and then lower us. And then connect. There we go. And all of that stuff should get sucked out of the drone here when the base cycles. So, there we go. That was a successful trip. I'm rather happy with it. And this little setup here got me my first YouTube short. Drone meets wall. Thankfully it wasn't drone meets other drone. But you can't even really tell, so it's all good. Oh, I did not reconnect that. That's not good for the batteries. Let's lock that on. Okay. So, I'm happy with that, and unfortunately that's going to have to be it for today because I don't have time to do any more. I've got to get ready for Thanksgiving this weekend. And for anybody in the U.S., happy Thanksgiving. For anybody who doesn't celebrate Thanksgiving, I'm sorry you have to go to work. Have a good evening. I'll talk to you later. See ya.